Hey there, Stampers. Happy Sunday. Welcome to a Facebook Live, a bonus Facebook Live this week. I'm just going to update my iPad here, and then I'll be able to concentrate. Let's see. Okay, why are we not? What is going on here? Some reason this is not updating. Let's try it again here. There we go. Okay. All right. Hey, Sheila. Okay, so today, first of all, let me introduce myself in case there's anybody new watching. My name is Sherry Roth. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Canada, and I'm happy to be here to share a scrapbooking related topic with you today, and we will be scrapbooking a page a little bit later as well. Good morning, Joy. I guess it's good afternoon. Good afternoon, Joy. So back in April, I held a six-week class that was called Scrap Your Stash, and it was part of my Let's Get Scrappy series. So I've got a couple other classes in that series as well, and it's something that I kind of add a couple to every year, 2 or 3 classes to every year. And during the class, I asked for people, if anybody had any questions, they could ask me, and I would try to incorporate answers to those questions or suggestions to those questions over the course of the 6-week period. And one of the questions I didn't get a chance to address, so I thought I would do a video today to address that question, and that is, what if you have really old product or paper in your stash, but you don't have any embellishments to match? Okay. So I'm going to give you 6 different ways, I'm sure there are plenty more, of looking in your stash to find ways, or looking at your product to find ways on creating your own embellishments. Okay? Hello, Karen. Welcome. All right, so first of all, one of the things that we talked about during the class was creating kits. Okay, so where you pull out a variety of product that kind of works well together. So I had pulled out a kit, and I shared a picture of that kit this morning. Most of the kit has been used. This is kind of what I have left and what I'm going to use today in today's video. And I'll share the other layouts that I created with this kit. So in a nutshell, basically what I will do is I'll pull out a patterned paper that kind of has a nice variety of colors. So this one happens to be florally, but it doesn't have to be florally. It could be something maybe like this. This could be your starting point, where it's just multiple colors, and it could be stripes, it could be hearts, it could be some sort of geometrical pattern. Like it doesn't really matter. Okay, just something that's kind of multicolored. And then from that, I would pull out things to match. So of course, Stampin' Up! Does a great idea, or a great job at that, where they put together pattern paper packages and collections that all coordinate. But sometimes when you're going back in your stash, you don't have a whole collection. So I happen to have this pattern and this pattern, which are both from the same collection. So I pulled those 2 pages out, but then I flipped through the rest of my patterned papers, and these are quite old patterned papers. And I found this wood grain pattern paper. This is all I have left, but this is actually, it's a Christmas paper. I think it was from the Farmhouse paper pack a couple years ago. But the wood grain, I mean, you can use that any time of the year, right? And then this one, even though this is old olive that's in this collection, this green still matches. Like, I like these 2 together. So I pulled this out, and this is actually a Halloween paper. So that's another thing, is you do not need to limit yourself to specific seasons. Personally, I would never use this side of the paper. That's just, well, I shouldn't say that, because maybe I would do a strip across the bottom of the scrapbook page. Or maybe I would cut out some of these elements. But I'm more apt, I kept it because I like this side of the paper, okay? So, and there was one other pattern that I had in that collection, or as part of this kit, that I'll share with you when I share the layout. Okay, so that's the first thing, is you want to pick out the patterned papers, and that's where I start. If you've got photos that you want to scrapbook and you want to pick the papers based on the photos that you want to scrapbook, then you can definitely do that as well, and that helps with knowing what kind of color scheme you want to go with as well. Okay, so because this is really old, I don't have a ton of embellishments to coordinate with it. I did happen to have this stamp set, which was from, I believe this collection had a Memories and More, well, I think it was called Project Life at the time, card collection that coordinated with it. I don't have any of those cards left, but this was the little stamp set that came with it, so I had that, so I pulled that out. And then I purposely did not want to pull out a lot of things that would work with this, because the whole question that I'm going to answer today is, what if you don't have a lot that matches? So then I also pulled out some twine and some ribbon, some sequins, and then I had a couple tags that I kind of pulled out. This is from a more recent kit. Actually, this is from the tag kit that's in the current catalog. So I pulled out these. There were some pool party ones as well. This in this pattern. That's all I have left that I pulled out to use. This again is a different color. I think this is Pear Pizzazz. But again, if you're not putting those two right on top of each other, you could still get away with using these two together. Okay, so I pulled out those as well. And then I pulled out this, which again was from an old Project Life kit. These were some word stickers, and because they're black and because I really would like to use this sheet up, so I pulled those out as well. But that was it. That's all I pulled out. Okay, so now let's talk about some of the different ways that you can create your own embellishments. So first of all, I want to point out that number one is you do not always need to add embellishments to your layouts. If you've got some gorgeous paper and you've got your pictures and you've got a title and some journaling, that can be it. You don't always need to add embellishments to your pages. Of course, for me, that's one of the best parts of scrapbooking. I love to add the embellishment. For me, that's the fun part. But you don't have to, and your pages can still look beautiful. Okay, so that's number one. Number two is, if you've got pretty patterned papers like this, or they don't even have to be, I shouldn't even say pretty, because it just depends on the patterned paper. If you've got patterned papers like any one of these, you can fussy cut from those pattern papers. So if you were doing a Halloween page, you could fussy cut these cauldrons, you could fussy cut the cat and the frog, you could punch out these tiny little, or fussy cut if you're really ambitious, these tiny little spiders. These flowers are beautiful when they're fussy cut, so any of those. So you just look at your patterned paper a little bit differently, and that is another way that you can use your patterned paper and create some embellishments. The other thing is, you don't necessarily have to punch out an image. Maybe you want to use this pattern and you want, fussy cut an image, but maybe you want to punch out. So you can punch out shapes, you can punch out like circles or stars, or even just die cut squares. So there's lots of different things that you can do with your patterned paper. And then punches and dies. That's number 3, is punches and dies. Look at your punches and your dies and see how you can use those to create embellishments. So this first page I'm going to show you. This page here. So I used the wood grain paper in the background, and then I used a circle punch. And then some of them are just solid patterned papers. Some of them are cardstock. I still need to add my journaling on this one. But see, this one, I've got a white circle in behind, but then I've gone ahead and I've punched the circle from patterned paper and trimmed it down and layered it over top. And then again over here, where you've got the circle and the white circle and then the patterned paper. So that's another simple way that you can do that. And you can do that with squares. You can add embellishments on top of this, like I've done here. I've added some chipboard pieces and then some little stamped images. So you can dress them up, or you can keep them simple, just like this. Even just plain circles. So that is another way that you can embellish your page. Down here, just while we've got this page up, I used one of those tags, and then some of the ribbon and the twine, and then I used a piece of the circle that was left from that, tied that green into the bottom, and then added another chipboard piece and another flower, just so that I've got that repetition, that 3. Okay, so there, that was the 3rd way. The 4th way is look at your stamps. Okay, we are stampers. Anybody who's watching this, well, most likely, most of the people that are watching this, you have stamps in your collection. So look at your stamps in a different way. So first of all, if you are creating a masculine page, sometimes when you flip through your stamps, you're going to bypass those more florally stamps. I encourage you to not look at the stamp set, look at the stamps in the collection. Okay, so for this one, if I'm flipping through and I'm creating a masculine page, then this might be one that I just automatically pass because I'm not looking for poppies. But these 3 images are great for masculine pages. So don't look at the entire stamp set, look at the stamps within that set. Okay, this is another great example. You know what, if I'm creating a masculine page, I don't want butterflies, or I may not want butterflies. I guess it depends. If you're at a butterfly farm, maybe you do want butterflies. But these 3 images within this stamp set are fabulous for creating backgrounds. Okay, so that's another way that you can look at your stamps. The other thing is, I love stamp sets that are generic like this because you can create some fun backgrounds using a combination of these types of images. And then this one is another one that I find is very generic, very versatile, because you've got leaves, you've got this nice wood piece, so you can create some beautiful backgrounds, but even some great focal points, and they would work for pretty much any photo outside. Okay, so that is another thing with stamps. The other thing with stamps is look at the words. So maybe you don't, let's see here, maybe you, like, okay, for example, these 2 images, I love these 2, I love this font, okay? So maybe you don't want to use the whole "you are wonderful," but maybe your title, or you want to put emphasis on a word. So look at the words that are in the greetings, and you could use just "wonderful." So you could use your markers and color on that and just stamp the word "wonderful," or stamp the whole thing and then fussy cut it and add the word "wonderful." That could be part of your title. It could replace like something like these where I've used chipboard. You can use words from your stamp sets for that. So you could do "be strong," you could do "be happy," "be you." Those could replace those chipboard pieces. Okay, so really look at your stamps, not stamp sets, but your stamps within each of those stamp sets to see how you can use them a little bit differently. Okay, all right, so that's stamps. The next thing is, okay, first of all, let's pull this in because we've got a couple different things on this page. So this was was it the 1, 2, 3, 4? This was the 5th page that I pulled out for this week's kit. And this, do you guys recognize this paper? I had this in my collection. It's probably older than these florally ones. It was from quite a while ago. What's on the back? Oh, it actually doesn't have anything on the back. It's like a craft with this beautiful embossed image, and then it's like notebook paper. I love it. So on this layout, you can see that I've stuck with shapes. So I used the layering squares dies with there's scallops in that as well. So I had some scallops tucked in behind. I did some stamping, and that was from this stamp set. So I did some stamping on the background, and in hindsight, I thought it would be really pretty if I'd stamped it in Versamark and then embossed in clear, because then it would have pulled in this, but I stamped it in green. So that's okay, it still looks good. Here I've got the Fussy Cut Images from this beautiful black patterned paper. So I fussy cut some of the floral images. Again, I love doing these little clusters on the side of my pages. So again, this is a piece of the DSP, this is DSP, and this is just a portion of one of those tags that I had added to the kit. Okay, so really most of this stuff, actually all of it came from the patterned paper or cardstock. So this is cut from the patterned paper. This, although it came as a tag, you could use any DSP and cut it into a tag shape. And then these here, I created a little cluster. I'll move this up so you can see it. Created a little cluster of just Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, all from this sticker sheet, because I mean the days are all, it's every day she's got to fill her time. Like this was life right now during Corona, because she has literally, or had literally nothing going on. So so that kind of worked. So really look at your supplies differently and see how you can make them work with your page. Okay, so that was another layout. Okay, and then we are on to number 5, backgrounds. So sometimes you can create a page, and if you do a beautiful background with, you could do stamps, you could use stencils or masks, you could do a watercolored background or mixed media or a combination of all of those things, and create beautiful backgrounds on your page, and then you don't need to add a ton of anything. So this was another one that I created. Okay, so I just want to qualify. This page you could do without these flowers and it would still look fabulous. Okay, so here what I did was I used some embossing paste and the brick mask that we have. I did that in the background, and then I have this cello bag that I have cut apart. It's just like a piece of packaging, and I love doing this technique. I take my ink pad and I'll rub it on the cello bag and then mist it with some water, and then I turn it upside down and I flick it. You guys may have seen me do this before because I do it quite often, and I'll flick it to get a splatter look, but then I take it and I rub it on the page as well to give this beautiful watercolor random background. Okay, so that's what I did to create this background, and then I added some stamping in there, and then I added some additional splattering using Pretty Peacock. Okay, so like I said, then I added a piece of cardstock, added my journaling, my title, and then these are from the product give back that Stampin' Up! Is doing, which is only available, actually I think, I can't remember if it's available till June 2nd or if it's only available until this month. But these were all just die cut from that digital download. So yeah, like I said, and then here these were fussy cut from the flower, which is this background paper, which I did my little cheater method and cut out the center and added those on. But I think, like I said, this page, you could do this same thing without these flowers. I just thought they were so pretty, I had to add them in without those flowers, and it would look great. Okay, so look at so this happens to be a digital download, but you could use stamped greetings as well and do a similar kind of look, and just do a cluster of words that kind of fit with your scrapbook theme. Okay, and little random images like this, like that again was from this little stamp set. There was a plus sign, so I just used that. So any stamp sets that have little things like that, like little circles, little stars, little hearts, little crosses or X's, or pluses, whatever you want to call that, those are great for kind of filling in and adding things. Okay, so look through your sets to find things that are kind of like that. You could have easily replaced these flowers with some stamped images, maybe some leaves or some floral stamps as well. Okay, so creating fun backgrounds that have a lot of dimension and, you know, not necessarily a lot of color. It's a subtle background, but I think it works enough that, you know what, you've got your background, you've got your patterned paper, you've got your journaling and your title and your photos, and you're good. It wouldn't need anything else. Okay, so that was number 5. Number 6 is to create your own embellishment clusters. So I did, during that Scrap Your Stash class, I did several of them. These are a couple. So basically what you would do is you start with a larger piece. It could be a doily, it could be a punched shape, it could be a die cut shape. So it could be a punch circle, it could be really anything, just you want something that is a little bit bigger, and it doesn't have to be very big, as you can see from this one. And you start with that, and then you want something as your focal point. So for this one, it's the flamingo. This one, this is punched from a card. And then oftentimes you'll add words. So these two happen to be more of those chipboard pieces that I'm working on getting rid of. But again, this is another way that you can use, look at your stamps, and you could use something like be strong, be happy, be you. Even words are never enough, or even something like you are wonderful. You are wonderful would work on this because it's a bigger embellishment. So then you want something like that, and then you want something a little bit smaller. So here I added the baker's twine bow. Here I added some random thread that I kind of bunched up and then stuck it in behind. You could add enamel dots, rhinestones. You could add small little images like these, like that little flower would be cute. This one would be really cute. You could stamp a couple of those on there. So, and that's it. I mean, it's as simple as that to create a little embellishment cluster. And that's just using stuff that's already on hand. Okay? So that was 6 different ways that you can look to your stash to create your own embellishments that kind of coordinate with the patterned paper that you are using. So now we are going to create a page using a few of those ideas. So because I don't have a full 12 by 12 here, I've punched out some pieces from here. I'm going to pull in a piece of Whisper white cardstock. And, okay, let's see here. I think I'm going to use, I've got one photo. And this was a photo of a Zoom call that we did. And I'm just going to trim it down a little bit. I just did a screenshot. And I'm going to just trim it down just a little bit so there's a little bit of a white border, or a more even white border all the way around. So I've got one, it'll be just shy of 4 by 6 photo. Oh, that was not good. Oh, it worked. Okay, that should be good. So we're going to do that, and I'm going to cut this piece into... Shirley, did you find that helpful? Because I know you were the one who had asked the question. Okay, so I think I'm going to do... All right, and sometimes this is as mathematical as it's going to get. I just used my fingernail, dug it into there. I'm not even going to measure. And I'll just slide this in and cut that. Actually, I should measure it because I'm going to need to cut another piece. Okay, so it is, we'll make it an even 7 inches. Okay, good. I'm glad you found it helpful. So if anybody else has questions, and you know what, it doesn't have to relate to stamping or to scrapbooking. If you have a question related to card making or anything at all that you would like my opinion on, or suggestions, I'm not going to say, you know what, I'm not an expert by any means, but I may have some ideas on how I would interpret that question or answer that question, and I'm more than happy to share with you guys. Okay, so now I'm just trimming off because I had torn the edge of this, so I'm just trimming it down. And this, I want this to be 7 inches as well. Oh, this one. Okay. So this is going to go like this. This will go along the bottom. I kind of wish that that was a little bit bigger. This fabulous stripes on the back, but there's no green in there, so I really prefer this look. this one better. Okay, and then I have this that I could put across. I'll move this up a little bit so you guys can see. And then I'm thinking my photo will go, do I want it there or do I want it here? Okay, and then I have, what do I have left here? Part of my kit was this. Or I have this one, this one, this one, or this one. So I don't have any more of the pool party. And what is on the back of this? This is stripes. Okay. Carol is asking which die cuts would be good for her to purchase. She just got a die machine, so she's very excited. You know what? I would suggest, I'm just trying to think here. I would suggest like a label shape, because a label shape is so versatile. So either like that one that I've been using like crazy lately, Tasteful, I got it right here, let me just pull it out. This would be a good one, Tasteful Labels, because it's got a nice variety. There's some circles in here, and then there's some stitched ones. So this would be a great one. You know, circles are always good. This is a good one, stitched labels. So something that is very versatile, and something that you can't cut with like a paper cutter. Okay, if you've got a lot of different sizes of circles in punches, then I would say, you know what, pass the circles for now. You can always pick those up later, and go with something that you can't necessarily cut with a punch that you have, or with your paper cutter. So we've got layering squares, which is great, and there's scalloped squares in there, but you can cut squares with your paper cutter. So that may not be the best choice for your very first die cut purchase. So that's probably where I would go, unless you're looking at a bundle that you absolutely love and it comes with a die set. Then go with the bundle that you've got there, because it's something that you can gradually add to your collection. Okay, so I don't think I want to add more green, but I do want to add something down here for my journaling. So I think I'm just going to take this and I'm going to flip it over, because there is no reason why I have to use this side, even though it's a nice pattern. So you can flip things over and use the back side. So my journaling will go there. My title's gonna go over here. So I'm gonna go ahead and stick this down so that it's not moving around so much. I'm gonna pull in my quilting ruler. Okay, so this is 7 inches. From 12 would be 5 inches, so I need 2.5 inches on either side. So what has everybody been up to this weekend? Oh, don't tell me I'm out. Out of Fast Fuse. Gotta grab myself a refill here. But we'll use this in the meantime. Okay, so 2.5 inches on either side so that it's in the center. Line it up with the bottom. It looks like it's just a little short, but that's okay. We can cut that off afterwards. All right. Okay, so I'll put this one on the bottom. So if you guys are recreating this, I can measure this so that you guys have an idea of the size. So this one is 7 by 12, and this one is 7 by 3.25. Okay, and then this one, I want it to stick off a little bit, so I'm just going to trim this like so. This might be, could be kind of cute adding to the top to tie in that wood grain up at the top. So that's another thing that I like to do is I will repeat elements in different areas to tie the page together. So I'll often have, if I have 3 different clusters of embellishments, then I will have, like for example, if I had maybe a cluster here or here, depending on where it was, let's just say here, here, and here, then I would repeat the wood pattern in all 3. And whatever element I put in any one of them, I would try to repeat in the other 2 as well. Okay, I'm gonna go grab myself another fast fuse refill because I don't like using liquid glue on that. So I'll be right back. All right. Okay, so this is going to go something like this. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a black pen and just freehand go around the edges of this, just the part that's going to show, and that will just kind of reinforce the tag shape. It doesn't get lost as much because it's white on white on white. That just makes it a little bit more prominent. Actually, I might bring it in a bit. Okay, we'll see how that goes. All right. Oh, you did a virtual game night last night? Fun. Okay, I also have this. I love this pattern, the stripes. I mean, you can't go wrong with stripes. I love stripes. There's the back of this too. Really want to pull in some of this. So I think I'm going to cut just a narrow piece, maybe half, let's try 1/2 inch. And another 1/2 inch. Let's see, we're gonna do 3 of them. So what virtual games did you play, Joy? Okay, because I'm thinking I would like, because there's a white border around this photo and then the white tag, I'm thinking I want to do something like that, but I think I want it to extend a little longer. So let's try this. Something like that, and then I would repeat this maybe again up here. Let's just put that up there for now. That will remind me. And then my title, I'm going to do is that right? Is my Z going the right way? Yeah, it is, but it was upside down. Okay. All right. So I cut the word zoom. Got my O's backwards. So I cut the word zoom, and then the rest of my title is going to be To the Rescue. Okay, so let's stick these pieces down. I don't have a ton of journaling, so this doesn't need to be very long, but I do want to make sure I have some space to do some journaling so I can talk about how everybody's using Zoom and how it's allowed us to stay connected. This is another layout for my COVID portion of my family album that I'm working on. Actually, I think all three of the layouts that I shared with you today are for that section. Okay, and you can see how this is how I'm making it work for me. I cut into the black portion. It's all one continuous shape. I mean, if you look closely, you can tell it's not the same width, but that's, I don't think anybody's going to notice that, so I'm not too concerned. And then this piece will go on top. So, and again, in case I decide to do a little cluster of embellishments, I don't like to put adhesive right around the edge so that I can tuck things in. So I'm just going to put that down. And I've used black dimensionals behind my black letters. I used the hand lettered prose dies for these. I love those dies. So sad that they're retiring. They are not leaving my collection though, because I know I will use them, continue to use them. Okay, so let's see here. So journaling here, title, I need to work on the rest of the title. Oh, I have this little strip of this patterned paper, which it's kind of 3 strips though. That might be a bit much. Maybe I'll punch. Okay, so here you can see that I'm really using the heck out of this patterned paper. 4-inch circle punch, which I think is too big for this piece. So punch out just a semicircle. This will allow me to bring in some of that black without adding another strip up here. So I've already got 2 strips, which is, I may not actually use both of them. Well, I might, I'm not sure, we'll see. But then I'm repeating this black from down here, up here. And then, let's see what else. Okay, let's finish the title here. Okay, so 8 games of bingo, and we had to figure out some real close-ups of Stampin' Up! Products and name them, and made 2 symbol cards. That sounds like out. Here we go. Okay, so I've got the Make a Difference stamp set because I'm going to use these tiny little to stamp To the Rescue. I'm just trying to figure out if I think I am going to do it on the blue. So I'll grab a block and Memento and my stamp cleaner. Okay, and this stamp set is very well loved. Most of the stamps, the tiny little alphabet, don't stick anymore. My T is missing, so I use an I and then use a marker. Okay, so this is great paper to stamp on because it's got line. So that's going to be my T. And then grab an O. I'm going to keep that I on there because I'll need the T again. Do a T again. And then the H. Where's my H? Here it is. Does anybody else have stamp sets like that where they're so well loved that they don't stick anymore? if you do, the simple solution is to just clean them. If they're photopolymer, just run them under some and they will stick again. I just haven't taken the time to do that. Okay, so we've got we're gonna cut that out. So that's another thing that I do is I don't throw away any of my scraps if I put together a kit until I'm done working with that kit. Because you could see that that was just a tiny little piece, but I still got some use out of it. Okay, so that's going to go there, and then I'm going to use a retired stamp set, Label or Alphabet, which is one that I kept, and I want to use these letters, and I'm going to type out. I'm going to stamp out the word rescue. So this time I'm just going to do it on white, and I want to do, what color ink do I want to do? I don't think I want to do black. Maybe I'll do Pretty Peacock. The color that's in here is actually Tranquil Tide, which is retired. So I don't have it. So I'm going to use Pretty Peacock, which is a close, it's a little bit less green. Tranquil Tide is a little bit more green, I think, than Pretty Peacock, but it's close enough. Look at this one. So you can see that I used the top part of the alphabet a lot more than I used the bottom part of the alphabet. So it might take me a minute to find some of these letters here. There's the R. Okay. I love combining fonts like this. So we've got 3 different fonts to create this title. I love the look of titles with a bunch of different fonts. Yes. So for those of you who joined in late, at the beginning of my video, I covered 6 different ways to use products that you have on hand to create your own embellishments for scrapbook pages. So a few ideas on how you can look at your supplies a little bit differently, and make them work for you. I think this is a G, this is not a C. What's this? That's an O. Okay, where's my C? The thing with, if your stamps, be careful so you don't lose them. I have a stamp missing out of this one as well. There's a U that's missing. Or not a U, a W, sorry, that's missing. Thankfully it's a letter I don't use very often. Okay. Out. I'm not too worried that it's not perfectly straight, not perfectly lined up. Just give it a little bit of a white border. Okay, so now I need to figure out my exact positioning. I'm thinking I want my M. So see, I don't like how you can see that line odd, but I find it distracting. So I think I will do that and have that M overlap. Just, oh, but I don't like how that lines up. Let's try moving it over. But then that's going to, okay, we'll do it that way. All right, so let's stick the M on first. And like I said, I actually added some pieces of black dimensionals underneath the black letters. I pre-did that so that you guys didn't have to watch me do that. We actually went and had dinner with my parents last night. It was the first time since March. It was so nice. Okay. Okay, and then, let's see, do I want to, that. How did that go, Shirley? What did that involve? I was wondering what people were doing for grad this year. Would he have gone if there had been an actual graduation party or ceremony? Would he have gone? Would you have made him go? Okay, so we've got our title done. So now, so this kind of feels like a cluster to me. And then up here we've got a little cluster. So I could do another little cluster. What I can kind of come up with. So just a little piece, maybe just a little piece of this. It's crazy how quickly they grow up, isn't it? So I know I said that I normally include the same elements on all three clusters, but I have no more of that wood grain DSP left. I used up the whole piece apart from this, which is going in a different direction. So it doesn't have the stripes, so that you're not going to really notice that that's what it is. So I'm not going to bother with that. But I think I will repeat this. Actually, no, I don't want to repeat that. Okay, so now I feel like it needs something else. Nope, don't like that. Okay, well, we'll worry about that later. Let's do this. Stick these pieces on. Okay, so what does Shirley say? They walked across the stage. You had to wait in the car? You couldn't even be there? And you'll see it at the end of June. Was anybody taking pictures? Oh, that's so sad that you couldn't even be there. Oh, man. Hopefully somebody was taking pictures and they'll send you guys pictures. I mean, I guess I understand. But it would have been nice if they could do that and kind of have, I don't know, a time slot maybe? So that you could actually see them while be there. Okay, so I will need to cut just a little bit off the top there. Actually, maybe I'll do that right now. Okay, so we have used primarily, actually just DSP right now. There so far else. Oh, and we threw in a punch. I'm just wondering if maybe I could do a punch. I kind of want to bring in this paper. Not because he wanted to. Okay, so I stuck this down a little bit prematurely. We can add, yeah, I like that. I want to pull in that little bit of a circle here. And then we'll put this guy down. I'm not going to push it all the way down though. I also happen to have a couple of these label shapes. So again, these were cut using that same Tasteful Touches dies, I think it's called, which I just showed you guys. And now I can't, it's not handy. Pieces left from a project. So these kinds of things are great for little tuck-ins, just to add in some different colors, and this one has stitching around it. So I could do something like that. I'm going to cut this in half. And this is kind of a wonky shaped circle. That didn't really punch very well. Stick that there, and then this is going to go under, and you'll see it just ever so slightly. So then I've got this piece. I could tuck this piece, bring in that same kind of look. I could kind of do something like this. And then another thing that I hadn't talked about is how you can use ribbon and twine to create some little embellishments. And this is something you guys have seen me do lots. I love to take ribbon and just a little piece, you don't need a lot, fold it over, and then wrap some twine around it, because you know I can't create a project without twine on it, right? I don't know what I'm going to do with this new catalog. There's so little twine. There is still some though. I'll just have to use linen thread a little bit more. Okay, so I'm just going to fold that ribbon in half. So this in and of itself could be an embellishment. But I'm just going to add it to this cluster, either up at the top or this one over here. I'll see what it looks like. See where it goes. And then if you wanted to repeat it in the 3 places, maybe you want to just add ribbon, or maybe you even just want to add just a tiny little baker's twine bow in some of the other collections. So you don't necessarily have to repeat the exact same element to tie it all in together. Okay. So I'm thinking like that. And then let's see if I added a little bow. So this is where I had talked about making those little embellishment clusters like these. So if these happen to match my page, so maybe if this was pink instead of orange in here, I could add an embellishment cluster. I could take this embellishment cluster, I could tuck it underneath here, and that would be a great addition to the page. So these you could do in advance, like if you've just got a whole bunch of little scraps left. So for example, I have all of these little pieces left. Here, let's move this out of the way so you guys can see. So I've got this label shape, I've got that, I've got one of these die cut flowers. So I could create my own little embellishment cluster, and I could have done that and actually stuck it on the page, but I didn't think it needed it now. But you could do that, and you could do those in advance, just using leftover scraps that you have from your kit, and then just set them aside, and you've got embellishments ready for a page where you're working with those colors again. So, and that's a great thing to do in front of the TV. Like if you just have like a bin with a whole bunch of your little scrap pieces, you could take that over to the TV while you're watching TV, while you're watching Netflix, and just kind of put those little pieces together. So I'm just snipping off the excess. And then grab a mini glue dot and I'll stick that, and I'm okay with it sticking up. Actually, I'll just use a little bit of fast fuse. I'm okay with it sticking up because it's the top of the album where it will stick outside of the page protector. So I'm completely fine with that. I like having little things popping up, little clips and stuff every once in a while. Okay, and then this little baker's twine bow is going to go right here. Much easier with my paper piercing tool rather than scissors. All right. Okay. So I think I am happy with that. I do have some Pool Party sequins which I pulled out to go with this, but I actually don't know that I need it. Let's just put a few of them out here. See what it looks like. Oh, maybe. I think it adds to the page. No, I don't like it. I like the white space. Okay, but I am going to do one last thing. I am going to use, okay, this one doesn't work very well. I'm going to grab a black pen. That works a little bit better. I need to pick up a couple more of those journaling pens that are retiring. I need to get a few more of those. My collection of black pens is dwindling. Okay, so now to mimic this little border here, I'm actually going to just freehand go around the edges. Not worrying if it's too straight, and I think I might go around twice. Just one more time. Down this one side, because I only did once down this side, so. And this just pulls it all in together. So there's a lot of white space down the sides. I'm going to do it twice down here too. There we go. So journaling will be added in there, and the layout is finished. So we used a couple of the ideas that I had brought up to embellish the page. So we used lots of DSP, we used some punches, we used some fibers to add in there. But really, I mean, we kept the embellishing on this page very minimal. So there's not a ton of embellishment. I could have fussy cut some florals to repeat this pattern in each of these collections if I wanted to, which would have worked here and the punch here. So really, just by looking at your supplies a little bit differently, you can really stretch your supplies and the way you use them a lot. All right, so I hope you guys found that useful. Like I said, if you have any questions about anything, just let me know, and I'm happy to answer them in a future Facebook Live or even a blog post. I'm going to do a blog post on this tomorrow, so it'll all be written out for you if you guys want to pin that so that you can go back to it and reference it. That will be all done in tomorrow's blog post. All right. So thanks so much for watching. Thanks for asking the question, Shirley. It was fun to kind of come up with different ideas on how you can create your own embellishments. And yeah, you guys have a fabulous Sunday afternoon, and I will see you next week. Bye, guys.